Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Welcome to my video on looping through all the cells in a range. So I have fictitious data on this worksheet. You can see there's an ID variable and there's 4 scored variables. And I'm going to demonstrate how to select a range, a grouping of cells, and then have the same code run for each cell. So let's say that we had these data and we wanted the same variables, but we wanted the square root. And presuming, of course, that we've backed up this data somewhere else, we would want this to change right in the cell where it currently resides. So for B2, we'd want the square root of 90, for B3, the square root of 74, and so on. So first we need to start by building a subroutine in a module. So go to Alt F11, and bring up the VBA code window, and insert module. So since the subroutine is going to find the square root, I'm going to call this subroutine square root. And it's not going to have any arguments up in the first line, just simply the name. And I'm going to declare CL as a range. This will represent each cell in the range. And I'm also going to declare X as double. This is a variable we'll use as part of this procedure. And I'm going to set selected range to be equal to the active sheet dot range selection address. So now we can build a loop, and we want this loop to go through every cell in the range that we've selected, and in this case return the square root of the value contained in that cell. So we'll start with for each cell, and we declared that up here, cell is a range, in selected range, which we set up here. And before I put the code in, I'd like to go ahead and put next, because I know this is a loop. I want to make sure I get that in there. So for each cell in selected range, and then next. So the code that you want to repeat would be between these two lines. So I'm going to set X to equal the square root of the cell. So in VBA that would be SQR and then cell. And then I'm going to set the cell to equal X. So these two lines of code, they will repeat for each cell that's selected. Now we have to have a way to call this subroutine. So I'm going to go back to the worksheet, and I'm just going to put in a rectangle. I'm going to right click on it. I'll make it orange. I'm going to right click on it and assign macro. And since I've already built the square root subroutine in module 1, it comes up available in this list box. I'm going to select that and click OK. So now when I click on this orange rectangle, it'll run that subroutine. So I'm going to take a range. I'm going to select a range, let's say from B2 down to B11. So in this case, just the first 10 values of the first score variable. And then I'm going to run the subroutine. So it's going to loop through all these cells and return the square root. Let's see if it does that. And it does. So I have the square root of all the values that were in those cells. Now you remember that the score that was in B2 was 90, So just to double check and make sure we are getting the square root, we could run the function from the worksheet. So it would be square root, it's sqrt from the worksheet, and then the value 90. And we can see it's equal to what the loop returned. So then if we want to get the square root of the remaining values, we'll highlight the rest of the cells, select the rest of the cells. So I've selected this portion, I'll hold down Control, and then select the remaining values. And now that loop will run the code for all these cells. You can see it returns the square root for all the values that I've selected. So this subroutine is designed to find the square root, but of course you could loop through these cells and use a wide variety of functions. For instance, if I wanted to return this to the original value, I'd want to square the value that's in there now. So I could comment this out and make x equal to cell and then shift 6 and 2. So that's cell raised to the power 2, or squared. Return to the worksheet, select the entire region of scores, and then run this subroutine, and you can see it returns all the values back to where they were. I hope you found this video on looping through all the cells in a range to be helpful. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to assist you.